Welcome to another weekly edition of our StaySmart newsletter and podcast brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing, where we talk about what we see happening in the relocation, corporate housing, travel, hospitality, any segment that we think might be relevant to you and to your company. This week, we're going to have a group effort on this podcast as we are having a sales summit this week, and I have some of my colleagues here to take part in this. So we're going to kick it off by handing it over to Amy Yance.
Hi, my name is Amy Yant with Viciniti Corporate Housing, and today I'm going to talk about an article which was in HR News about why HR is so important within business travel. And we all know business travel is a key component in growing any enterprise, whichever size the company is. And they really talk about three key components of why HR is so important within business travel. The first being duty of care. It's just really important for all of the employee travel documents, any itineraries, all of that information to be readily available to HR. And this is especially important just in case there's any kind of state of emergency, and really just in general, to be able to contact the employee. Second is the employee well-being. And I personally believe that this is always a top priority within HR, is the employee's well-being. So if an employee is traveling a lot and they're being overworked, they're going to be very stressed out, and it's probably going to affect their productivity. So it's very important for HR to really find a way to balance that employee as well as their boss if they're involved with that also. And I also believe that this will help with employee retention rates too. And last is HR compliance. And there's different HR processes and policies that always need to be followed within business travel. And it's becoming even more complicated because employees sometimes think a business trip is a vacation. And wouldn't we all love that? But it's not always the case. And we're hearing the term bleisure, which is a combination of a business trip and a leisure trip. And that's just becoming more complicated with people being able to work remotely as well. So I hope this information was helpful, and these are just great reminders of why HR is so important within business travel.
Hi everyone, my name is Christie with Viciniti Corporate Housing. I'd like to share with you today an article that I read regarding business and leisure travel. With the widespread of remote and hybrid travel post-pandemic, there's a lot of hoteliers that are questioning their success to that compared to the 2019 pre-pandemic levels. Hybrid work has led to a boom of leisure travel. Since one can pretty much work from anywhere, business meetings can be accomplished over video calls rather than in person, leading to maybe one large corporate event instead of quarterly events or meetings, creating less revenue for the hoteliers. However, this all leads to a new type of leisure travel, which is a mixture of both business and leisure travel. Part of one's business travel might be an extension into one's leisure travel. Because the ability to work from home has made us so flexible, it's the new norm, but it's an ever-changing industry. Next, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Melody Phillips.
Hi, I'm Melody Phillips with Viciniti Corporate Housing. I wanted to talk to you today about an article that I felt was kind of interesting about baby boomers retiring, the implications in our workforce today. And it appears since the pandemic that it's accelerated the retirement ages with the people that were born between 1946 and 1964. The main factor that they're seeing is the increase in the retirement age. Also, I found it very interesting that in 2020, 28.6 million retired. So I thought that was just a nice little article. But I'm going to leave it to my coworker, Mark Champagne. He will be next.
Mel, that echoed an article I read that inflation and the recession are no longer top concerns for business executives. According to the third quarter AICPA and SEMA Economic Outlook survey, business leaders' top concern now is the availability of skilled workers. Gabriel, the good news is that 50% of business leaders anticipate growth in the next 12 months.
Well, thank you, Mark. Our last article this week is in regards to new short-term rental regulations in New York City. Last week, we talked about those regulations in Dallas, Texas. But New York City is kind of up in the game a little bit here. Starting on Tuesday, they're going to start enforcing Local Law 18, which basically states any listing under 30 days where the host is not living in the unit is going to be not going to be allowed anymore. They're going to start enforcing this. And this is going to have a huge impact on the supply of short-term rentals in New York City. The proponents of this say that this is, hopefully to offset the increase in housing costs that we've seen in the last several years, that all these short-term rentals has lessened the supply of inventory available for long-term renters. And also the proponents say that short-term rentals, the transient nature of short-term rentals doesn't necessarily fit in these communities where we're seeing these short-term rentals listed at. So I think this will be interesting to see. There's been regulations going in a lot of different locations globally and then domestically. This is probably the biggest one that we've seen, the most stringent regulations. So it'll be interesting to see the effect on supply that we see. And it may be a lot of these listings just convert to long-term rentals or midterm, month-to-month listings, maybe similar to like a corporate housing model. So it'll be interesting to watch over the next couple of months. The one thing that you do need to look at is if you've booked something, a short-term rental after December 1st, it's possible that reservation could be canceled if that listing is not meets the criteria of these regulations. So something to look for if you're staying in a short-term rental past December 1st this year. So that's what we see transitioning this week. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything that you would like to see us talk about, please put them in the comments here. If you have not subscribed to our podcast yet, please hit that subscribe button. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.